Hello everyone, welcome back to our Solidworks course. In this video, we would be creating a new 3D model. This component has been used by all of you at some point in your lives. Let's not waste any time and take a look at what our component is, or rather what our 3D model is for this exercise. Here you can see on the screens that we would be creating this model, that is the outer body of a hairdryer. You can see here that we have several features that have been added in order to create this. Now at this point in the course, you as a designer or you as a SolidWorks designer need to dissect your component as you look at it. For example, if you take a look at this body of the hairdryer, you need to find out what should be your first part or the entry point in your modeling. For me, the entry point would be this feature over here. This feature over here would be created by using lofted surfaces. I hope you all might have also guessed what feature would we be used in order to create this. Now that I have introduced you to this problem and that we know our entry point, let's move to SolidWorks and create this model. Here you can see that I have launched SolidWorks and then created a new part. Once we are into the new part, we will now begin with our modeling. As we all know that we would be creating our first feature, that is a lofted surface. Let's start by creating the prerequisites for the lofted surface. First, I will click on the right plane over here and then I will create a plane which is at an offset distance of 75 millimeters from this plane. For that, I will press Ctrl, click on the right plane over here and drag it towards the right. From here, I will specify my offset distance as 75 millimeters and I will click on OK, and you can see here that we have created a new plane. Again, I will press Ctrl, click on this plane and drag it towards the right. I will create another plane over here at a distance of 50 millimeters. Yet again, I will press Ctrl, select this newly created plane, drag it towards the right and create another plane at a distance of 50 millimeters. Once I have done this, I will click on OK, and from here I will also show the right plane. Now we have 4 planes over here. Yes, you have guessed it right. We would be creating the profiles for our lofted surface on all these planes. Let's get into the sketch mode and start creating our profiles. I would create my first profile on this plane. So I will click on it, go to the sketch mode and then start with my sketching. First, I would be creating a center line over here like this. Next, I would be creating a center point arc starting from the origin. I will create a semicircle over here, get into the smart dimensions mode and give this a dimension of 20 millimeters. Once I have done this, you can see that my sketch is now fully defined. I will press Ctrl Q, rebuild the part, exit the sketch and move forward. I will click on this plane, select sketch. Once I am into the sketching mode, I will press Ctrl 8, set it into the normal to mode. Again create another center line over here like this, passing through the origin. I will select the center point arc and create another center point arc or a semicircle, whatever you would like to call it, like this. The endpoint would be coincident on the center line or rather our construction geometry. I will get into the smart dimensions command, select this arc and give it a radius of 35 millimeters. Once I have done this, I will now press again Ctrl Q, exit the sketch, rebuild the part and create another sketch on our plane number 1. I will click on it and enter the sketch mode, press Ctrl 8. Now again I would be creating a center line over here like this. I will again select the center point arc, place the center at the origin, create another semicircle over here like this. I will get into the smart dimensions mode and give this line a dimension of 30 millimeters. Once I have done this, you can see that this point has not yet been defined. So I will drag it and drop it on the center line so that it is coincident, and now my sketch is fully defined. This point was already coincident on the center line. Once my sketch is fully defined, I will press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch mode, rebuild the part, and now I will create the final profile for my lofted surface. I will select the right plane, sketch on it, press Ctrl 8. Now what I can do here is that I can create another arc of 20 radius, or I can simply select this one over here, click on convert entities. You can see that this line now has been highlighted. If I tilt it or rotate it, you can see that now this arc has been converted as a sketch or sketch entity onto this plane over here. My sketch is fully defined. Now I can simply press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch, rebuild the part, and now you can see that we have all these profiles that would be required in order to create our base feature, or rather our first feature. But there's one more thing that we need to add over here, and that is our guide curves. For that, I will sketch on the top plane. I will click on the top plane, click on sketch over here, press Ctrl 8, get into the normal to mode. I will select 3-point arc from here, and I will create two arcs over here like this. First one and the second one somewhat like this. I will just roughly create them for first. Next, I will get into the smart dimensions, give this arc a dimension of 125 millimeters. Once I have done this, what I will do here is that I will press escape, exit the smart dimensions command, move this arc. I will select all of this arc using box selection. Has it taken any sort of a reference over here? No, it has not. We'll move it over here like this. Next, what I will do here is that I will rotate my part a bit so that I have a clear view of these profiles and also my arcs. For that, I will select this point over here, press Ctrl and then select this arc that we had created. From here, I will specify make peers sketch relation. Once I have done this, you can see that now this point is coincident on the endpoint of our arc. Again, I will select this point, press Ctrl, select the sketch, make peers, and you can see this is how I have made this sketch completely defined. But we yet have to define this arc over here. For this, again, I will select this endpoint, select this sketch over here by pressing Ctrl, make peers, and this point has been added over here as well. Next, I will specify this arc, press Ctrl, select this point, and then again make peers. Now here we need to specify, or rather make this arc coincident on this point over here. For that, what we can do is that we can simply select this point, select this arc, and say make coincident. Once I have done this, you can see that now my sketch is fully defined. I will get into this view and you can see that this arc, or rather these two arcs, have been fully defined. Next, I will create a center line over here passing through the origin, and also the center line would be horizontal. Next, I will select mirror entities. With the help of the box selection, I will select both of these arcs. Without moving the mouse, I will press the right mouse button, select the entity about which, or rather the line about which I have to create my mirror. I will click on this line, and without moving my mouse cursor, I will again press the right mouse button. You can see this is how I have created a mirror of this entity. And now we have successfully created all our profiles and all the guide curves. I will press Ctrl and select all of these over here, and then I will right click on them and click on this icon that says hide. This is how our sketch is looking now that we have all the prerequisites required to create a lofted surface. I will go to surfaces. From here I will select, okay, it is not giving me the option to specify lofted surfaces. For that I will press Ctrl Q to exit the sketch mode. Now we have the option of creating lofted surfaces. I will click on it, and first I will specify all the profiles about which my lofted surface is supposed to be created. You can see here as I am selecting the profiles, it is creating, or rather creating, a preview for the surface that would be generated. This is how the lofted surface would be creating without using the guide curves. Now we will specify the guide curves as we want to create a lofted surface about these guide curves. I will click on OK, add this guide curve, and you can see that it has shifted its profile, or rather its preview, to be along this guide curve over here. We will add this second guide curve as well. I will click on OK, and once I have done this, you can see that now it is following the guide curve. It has taken this guide curve as one complete guide curve, calling it as open loop 1, and this one as open loop 2, considering it one complete guide curve. Once I have done this, I will now simply click on OK and generate my profile. You can see here with the help of lofted surfaces, I have created our base feature. Now we will move ahead and create our handle over here. For that, what we will do is that I will first select the front plane. I will press Ctrl, drag the front plane forwards, and then I will create another plane over here at a distance of 100 millimeters. Once I have done this, I will click on OK. Next, I will select this newly created plane, go to sketch. Once I am into the sketch mode, I will press Ctrl 8, get into the normal to mode. Here I would be creating a sketch like this. I will first create a horizontal line and an inclined line up till the bottom surface. I will end the sketch by double clicking somewhere outside. Next again I will get into the line command again by pressing L. I will create a line passing through this vertex of this line over here like this. I will end the line, press escape, select this line and make it as a construction geometry. Once I have done this, now I will use some dimensions in order to define these sketches over here. First, I will give it a height of 10 millimeters. Once I have done this, I will specify the distance of this point from the rightmost edge as 15 millimeters. And once I have done this, I will specify the distance of this point about this center line as a diametrical dimension to be 25 millimeters. Once you have done this, I will create another line. I will get into the line command by pressing L. I will create another line that is vertical like this. Okay, this line has been created. I will just drag it upwards. Next I will select this line, make it a construction geometry, and then I will select this line, press Ctrl, select this construction geometry. I had to get into the smart dimensions command first. I will select this line and again select this construction geometry and create an angle between them as 5 degrees. Once I have done this, you can see that now my sketch is fully defined. But there is one thing left to be done. You might know it now. Why did I create the center line over here? Yes, because I wanted to create a mirror of these two entities over here. I will select both of them using the box selection. This line has also been added, so I will simply click on it and remove it from the selection. Next, I will click my right mouse button and specify the line about which the mirror is supposed to be created. I will select this line as my mirror line. Again, without moving the mouse, I will press the right mouse button, and this is how my surface has been generated. Once I have done this, I will press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch, rebuild the part, and now I will move to creating a sketch on the front plane like this. I will click on the front plane, get into the sketch mode, press Ctrl 8, zoom in a bit so that I have a clear view. Again, I will get into the line command, create a vertical line from the base like this. Again, create a horizontal line, bring that line downwards and end it over here. Once I have done this, I will get into the smart dimensions command, give this line a height of 17 millimeters. Next, I will zoom in a bit. I will specify the distance of this point over here from this point as 8.5 millimeters. Once I have done this, again I will zoom in a bit. I will select this point and the point over here of our previous sketch. This is supposed to be 3.5 millimeters. Once we have done this, you can see that the sketch is fully defined. I will press Ctrl Q and then generate these two. Again, we would be using a lofted surface command. I will get into the lofted surface command, specify these two sketches as my profiles. First profile, I will rotate it a bit, select my second profile. You can see due to my improper selection, these green points are now at they are at a diagonal. For that, I will select this point, move it to this edge over here. I will move my cursor over it until it is being highlighted like this. Or what I can do is that I can select this point and move it to the other end like this. Now that these points are in a linear path or are opposite to each other, you can see that it is showing me a preview of how my lofted surface would be created. So you need to always make sure that you select the points in a wise manner, or after that, if you do not, then you have to set them opposite to each other. Once you have done this, I will click on OK and generate my lofted feature, or rather lofted surface. Next, what I will do is that I will close these close these curves over here with the help of planar surfaces. For that, I will again sketch on this plane over here. I will get into the sketch mode, and from here I will get into the convert entities option, rotate this a bit, select all of these entities like this, all three of them, click on convert entity, and you can see that it has converted the entities onto a new sketch. Now simply I will select a line and create a line starting and ending at both the endpoints. You can see this is how my sketch has been completely defined. I will simply press Ctrl Q and exit the sketch. Here I will get into the planar surface command and specify this sketch as my bounding entity. Once I have done this, I will click on OK, and here you can see that a planar surface has been created from the bounding entities that we specified. Next, we will move ahead and first trim off all this excess over here. For that, I will go to the trim surface option, select mutual, select this body, and from here I will specify the objects that are supposed to be removed. I will make sure this option is on that says remove selection. I will specify the surfaces that are supposed to be removed. You can see that I have specified both of the surfaces that were supposed to be removed. Here I will click on OK and then generate my trim. It has trimmed off all the edges, and now we have a clean surface over here. Next again, first I will hide this plane because it is always a good practice to keep your sketch neat and tidy. Next, I will now create a sketch on this plane over here. This I suppose was the third plane. Yes, plane 3. I will click on plane 3, click on sketch, get into the sketch mode. I will select this edge over here and simply click on convert entities. It has already converted this entity over here. Now I will get into the line command by pressing L. I will create a line joining these two endpoints like this. Once I have created this line, you can see that now my sketch is fully defined. I can simply press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch, go to surfaces, and from here I will select a planar surface. Once I have selected the planar surface option, I will specify the bounding entity about which a plane is supposed to be created. Here you can see the preview. This is how our planar surface would be created. I will click on OK and then generate my planar surface. If I press Ctrl 7 and set it into the isometric mode, you can see here this is how I have created a basic structure, or rather a raw model for my hairdryer. Now we will move forward and add all the features so that we can get to the final part, one step at a time. Next here, we would be creating the grips that you saw on the handle over here. For that, I will again sketch on the top plane. I will click on the top plane, go to the sketch mode, press Ctrl 8, and then get into the sketch mode, into the normal to mode, move my sketch over here so that we have a better view at it. Now I will select the ellipse option, and here I will create an ellipse whose center would be on this edge. You have to carefully take a look at it is on this edge itself. Now once my selection is being showing, or rather is being highlighted, I will now create an ellipse over here like this. The first one would be here, second one would be here. I'm just creating them roughly and I will define them later. The third one would be somewhere over here like this. Once you have done this, now we will move forward and use the Smart Dimensions command in order to define these. I will get into the Smart Dimensions command and first give them a dimension for their minor axis. This one would be 10 millimeters. The second ellipse over here would be, it has snapped the wrong selection. The second ellipse over here would be 9 millimeters. The minor axis of the second ellipse would be 9 millimeters, and the minor axis of the third ellipse would be 7 millimeters. Once we have done this, what I will do is that first I will lock their orientation. For that I will press escape, exit the smart dimensions command. I will select this vertex, press Ctrl, select the center point and make them horizontal. I will do the same for these two. I will select them, make them horizontal. Again for this last one, I will select both of them by using Ctrl. I will leave the control and make them horizontal. Once I have done this, you can see that now their rotation has been locked. Next, I will again get into the smart dimensions command and I will give a dimension to their major axis. This would be 15 millimeters. The major axis for your second ellipse here would be 13 millimeters, and the major axis for your third ellipse over here would be 12 millimeters. Once we have done this, we will now specify the distance of the center point from this bottommost edge. I will select this edge, select the center point and specify the distance between both of them as 16 millimeters. I will select the center for my second ellipse and this bottom edge. I will specify the distance over here as 32 millimeters, and I will do the same for my last ellipse and give it a distance of 50 millimeters. Once we have done this, you can see that now my sketch is fully defined. We can go to the surfaces tab and from here we will select the extrude surface. We will now randomly extrude this feature that we have created, or rather the profile that we have created. Let's say for 31 millimeters, I will click on OK and generate this surface. Next step, you might have guessed it, we would trim off all these extra components or extra surfaces from here. What we will do is that we will go to the trim surface. I will clear the selection over here. I will select mutual as my trim type. I will select the bodies in the mutual tab or the mutual selection, and from here I will select remove selections and specify the surfaces that are supposed to be removed. I will zoom in. This is the first one, second one, third one, and we have these three over here. Once I have removed all of the surfaces that were supposed to be removed, I will click on OK and generate my trim. You can see that we have created a raw feature for the grips over here. Next, what we would be doing is that we would be creating this vent over here. For that, first we have to create a plane which would be at an offset of 35 millimeters from the top plane. For that, I will press Ctrl, click on this plane, bring this plane upwards like this and specify the distance here as 35 millimeters. Once I have done that, I will simply click on OK and generate this plane. Next, I will select this, click on this plane, go to the sketch mode, press Ctrl 8, get into the normal to mode, and here again I would be creating an ellipse. Let's say somewhere over here like this. I will again specify this ellipse. I will get into the smart dimensions command, specify the center of this ellipse from the origin or this extreme surface edge over here as 119 millimeters. Once I have done this, I will specify the major and minor axis for my ellipse. The major axis for this ellipse would be of 60 millimeters wide, and the minor axis for this ellipse would be 35 millimeters wide. Once I have done this, you can see that still the sketch is not fully defined. For that, I will press escape, select the center point, press Ctrl and select this origin and make both of them horizontal. Yet this is not defined. We have one small defining factor. You can see that this is now rotating about its center. I will select this point, press Ctrl, select the center point and make both of them horizontal as well. Here you can see this is how we have fully defined our sketch. Now I will press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch. What I have to do over here is that I have to create a projection of this sketch over here onto this face. For that, I will go to insert. From curve, I will select projected, specify this curve as the curve that is supposed to be projected and specify this face as the face on which this curve is supposed to be projected. I will click on OK and then generate my curve. If I click on over here, you can see that this is how, or this is where the curve has been projected. Next, what I will do is that I will press Ctrl, select this plane and drag it downwards because here I want to create a plane which is at an offset distance of 6 millimeters downwards from this plane. Again, I will click on OK and generate this plane. Once this plane has been generated, I will first hide this plane because it was unnecessary now. I will click on this plane, go to the sketch mode, press Ctrl 8, get into the normal to mode, and here again we would be creating a new ellipse. Let's see if it is showing me some reference points for this previous ellipse. No, it is not. Let's just create it randomly like this. Once we have created this ellipse, we will get into the Smart Dimensions command and then define the ellipse in the similar way we did before. I will specify 119 as my horizontal distance between the origin and the center of the ellipse. The major axis for this ellipse would be of 50 millimeters and the minor axis for this ellipse would be of 27 millimeters. Once we have done this, again we will use the sketch relations to define these points. What I will do is that I will select all three of them and then make them horizontal at once. Now you can see that here our sketch is fully defined. Again I will press Ctrl Q, exit the sketch. Yes, you might be thinking that we would be creating a lofted surface. Yes, we would be creating a lofted surface. First I will hide this plane so that it won't be an obstruction for us. Next I will go to the lofted surface, select this sketch, zoom in a bit and carefully select the point where this lofted surface would be created. You can see that these points are wide apart and are at a diagonal. I will move this point to somewhere over here so that they are kind of in a linear path and are opposite to each other. Like this. Yes, this should be fine. I will click on OK and generate the lofted surface. Next, what we have to do is that we have to cut this body with this as my trim tool, or rather the newly created lofted surface as my trim tool. I will go to the trim surface, select my trim type as standard. I will clear the selection. From here I will specify my trim tool as this lofted surface over here. If you don't want to specify it from here, you can also go to the drop down of this, and from here you can specify the newly created lofted surface. If I rotate it, here it is asking me what surfaces are supposed to be removed. I will click on this surface over here and then simply click on OK. Once I have done this, you can see that it has cleared off all the edges, or rather the surface which was on the top. It used this as my trimming tool and trimmed the extra surface off. Here I want to show you what would have happened if I had placed these points somewhere over here like this. If I click on OK and if we take a look at this now, you can see that the shape has been disrupted and it is not a proper one. You can see that this is a messy shape over here and would give us problem while for creating further surfaces or further features. For that I will again go to the edit surface feature over here and bring this point back to where it was, somewhere opposite to our previous point. I will click on OK and generate the surface. Now you can see that it is a evenly created curve. Again I will press Ctrl 7, get back into my isometric mode. Next we would be closing the surface with the help of a planar surface. I will select a planar surface, zoom in, select this edge over here as my bounding entity. In the preview you can see how the planar surface would be created. I will simply click on OK and generate this planar surface. Now that we have created this planar surface, I will click on it and get into this sketching mode. I will sketch on that face. I will press Ctrl 8, get into the normal to mode, zoom in, and now here we would be creating the cuts for our vents. I would be first creating a center line over here like this, passing through our origin, zoom in again, and here I would be creating two slots. They would be straight slots like this, one over here and the second over here. Once I have done this, I will press Ctrl 7, select the center points for both the slots by pressing Ctrl. When I leave Ctrl, I will be shown this option. I will select make vertical. Once I have done this, you can see that now the slots are vertical. In order to position them in a better way, I will select the origin and select one of these center points and give them a distance of 119 millimeters. Once I have done this, let's move ahead and give these slots some dimensions. The dimension for this slot from center to center over here would be 22 millimeters, and the radius for this slot would be 1.5 millimeters. If you don't want to give the radius, you can simply enter the value as the value of thickness as 3 millimeters. We will specify the same dimensions for this slot. The center to center distance first, that would be 38 millimeters, and we can simply press escape exit the command and select these two and make them equal. Once you have done this, we will move forward and specify the spacings. The distance between these two slots over here would be of 2.5 millimeters, and the distance between this slot and the center line would be, let's give it a diametrical dimension. Here it would be 4 millimeters. Once I have done this, you can see that now my slots are completely defined. I will now use the mirror entities to mirror these slots about the center line. I will select both of them. Without moving my mouse, I will press the right mouse button, select the center line. Again, without moving the mouse, I will press the right mouse button and create these lines over here. Once you have done this, now if you remember, we cannot use features of like cut extrude in surfaces. For that, we have to go to surfaces, and from here we will select trim surface. Here you can see that it has taken the trim tool as the sketch itself because it was selected previously. Now, as this is the right selection, we will move ahead and specify the entities that are supposed to be removed. I will specify these slots over here as the surfaces that are supposed to be removed. I will click on OK, and here you can see this is how we have created these slots for the vents. I will press Ctrl 7, set it into the isometric mode. Next, here you can see that we have 5 surface bodies over here, all the surfaces that we created separately. Now, in order to add fillets to these, what I have to do is that I need one surface body. For that, we will go to the knit surface command, select all of them using the box selection. You can see that we have 5 surfaces over here as the entities that are supposed to be knitted. I will click on OK and knit all of them as one single surface, that is this one. Once I have done this, I will now get into the fillet command, select this edge, and from the selection over here, I will select the option that selects or highlights all the edges in this handle over here. This is how I want it to be selected. I will click on OK, and here you can see that it has added all the edges to my selection. I will specify the value for my fillet radius as 4 millimeters, and in the preview you can see this is how my fillets would be added on all the edges. I will click on OK and generate my fillet. Next, again I will get into the fillet command, select this surface or select this edge over here and give it a fillet of 5 millimeters. Once I have done this, again I will click on OK, generate my fillet over there. Next, I will zoom in a bit over here because I want to add a fillet in this area. Again, I will get into the fillet command, select this edge, and from the selection toolbar I will select this feature that says between left feature and part, so that it highlights both the edges and selects them eventually. Here I would be giving a fillet radius of 2 millimeters. I will add 2 millimeters, click on OK and generate this fillet. You can see that now we have created or added fillets at all the sections where it was necessary. I will press Ctrl 8 over here, Ctrl 7 over here and set it into the isometric mode. Once we have done this, we have one final feature left over here, that is we have to thicken this surface. We will move forward and select thicken as my tool, specify the parameters or the surface that are supposed to be thickened. I will click anywhere as this is one single surface. I will specify the value of thickness as 1 millimeters over here. Next, I will specify the direction in which the thickness is supposed to be added. I want it to be added on the inside surfaces, or rather on the inside direction. Once I have set all my input parameters, I will simply click on OK and generate the thickness. Here you can see that we have added a thickness of 1 millimeters to our body of the hairdryer. Once all of this is done, I will press Ctrl 7, and now here you can see that we have successfully created the body of our hairdryer using all the surfacing features that we've learned so far. I hope all the features that were taught to you in this video were very clear and you got an understanding of how you can create this part over here. I hope you had fun learning how to create the body of a 3D of a hairdryer. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.